Yes, my friends, the New York City guides are back, and today I'm going to be showing you all around my favorite neighborhood, Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I've done quite a few guides in the past, but I'm probably the most excited about this one. This is the neighborhood that I spend every other day in. I work from here, my friends are here, I hang out here. Williamsburg is one train ride away from Manhattan. It actually makes a great base if you want a bit more bang for your buck instead of staying in the city. It's only a 10-minute commute. And although it is a highly gentrified neighborhood, I still think there's a strong sense of its artsy history. There's lots of vintage stores, antique shops, great restaurants and bars. I mean, the charm is just endless in Williamsburg, and it definitely filters out into the other surrounding neighborhoods. Goes without saying, this is just my personal list of things to do and see while you're in Williamsburg. Use it as a guide, but the best part about this is there's endless exploration. Without further ado, let's get into these recommendations. I will be covering this video in specific categories, which I'll have timestamped in the comments below to help you navigate through this video, but I thought a nice way to start would be to show you an average day that I would spend with my friends visiting. It just happens to be Saturday, and no trip to Williamsburg on a Saturday is complete without stopping at Smorgasburg. What can I say? Your girl loves food, so the Smorgasburg Food Festival is definitely a highlight of summer for me. There's food from like every corner of the globe, plus some other concoctions that you'll probably only find here. But another great thing about the festival is that it's in East River State Park, which in my opinion has the best skyline view of Manhattan. So go down to the shore, take some bomb selfies, landscape photos to your heart content, and when you're done, bop down to Domino Park, brand spanking new park. I love to hang out here, and I definitely recommend like grabbing some food from Williamsburg, bringing it down to the park, you know, have a little picnic situation, lie on that fake grass, watch some hotties play volleyball, do some dog spotting. And a little bonus tip is if you don't have a lot of time, spend the morning in Williamsburg and then get the ferry to Dumbo, another really popular area of Brooklyn. And I would recommend trying to catch sunset walking over the Brooklyn Bridge from Dumbo. It's the most spectacular time to see the cityscape from the bridge. And you know, after all of that hard walking, go for a well-deserved cocktail at the end. If you already follow my channel and my social medias, you know I love my iced coffee. I'm an iced coffee girl through and through. Now, if there ever was a divider of opinions, it's who makes the best coffee in Williamsburg. Now, I can only speak for myself and my personal favorites, so here's my rundown. The coffee I personally tend to enjoy the most is Partners Coffee, formerly known as Toby's Estate. But they've got a good little spot here in Williamsburg. And you know what? The food menu is pretty good too. The only issue is trying to get a seat at the busy times. But you know, for good coffee, we'll work around these things. Blue Bottle made the cut. It's not my fave, but it's definitely chilling here. Anytime I feel like I don't want to be claustrophobic, that's where I go. And I also love this little coffee shop called People. If any of you guys are into the gram, this is definitely a very Instagrammable little coffee spot. And I also love this little place called Black Brick. It's my go-to. It's super cozy, and it's one of the few coffee shops that's open past 6 p.m. Onto what I believe to be the strongest coffee in all of Williamsburg. Devotion is a really cool spot. The interiors are incredible. So the cool thing about Devotion is that their beans go from harvest to the store being brewed within 10 days. So it's really fresh coffee. It's really strong coffee. It's the strongest I've had in New York. You will be buzzed off of your game on this stuff. Bakery is pretty much what it says on the tin, another sort of French inspired spot. Very charming, and of course filled to the brim with French goodies, patisseries and baked goods, great coffee. So if you're a fan of Moroccan food, right across the street from Bakery is Cafe Mogador, super popular in Williamsburg. My God, like in the evenings, that place really fills up. There's always a queue around the door. I've still not gotten around to every single restaurant. I'm sure there's plenty that I've missed out. Nothing a good Yelp can't fix if you're looking for something specific. Start off with one of my favorite sort of chic brunch places. Cafe Colette, I adore for little catch-ups with friends, you know, brunch. It's got shabby chic interiors, very, very cute. And across the street, there's another spot called Teddy's Grill, which is just a simple sort of pub grub done well type place also. Huge huge brunch culture at the weekends, especially in Williamsburg. So if there's a spot you really want to eat at, try and reserve in advance. If there's a really long wait at Cafe Colette, pop around the corner. Egg Shop is always a solid option. All of the Australian cafe vibes, expect avocado and toast, but they also have other very delicious stuff as well as great coffee, as most Aussie cafes do. Grand Street has such a good food selection. A standout is Birds of a Feather. It's a bit more of an elevated Chinese restaurant, but really shareable, really approachable. And another neighborhood favorite is Sweetwater.
It used to be an old punk dive bar.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
And what is it now? Half Irish owned, half Italian?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Hi.
If you like walking around, definitely head towards the south side of Williamsburg. I have a couple of favorites here, including Atlas Cafe, which is great for coffee and bagels, and if it's good enough for Zoe Kravitz, it's good enough for me. There's also a little cute taco spot across the street, which has a great vibe in the evening, good happy hour drinks. And Gertie is a super good spot for like healthy but really tasty food, and I love the interiors. It's nice and bright and open, and in general Williamsburg is very vegan friendly for anyone wondering. There's a bunch of fast casual restaurants if you don't feel like sitting down, and you know what, sometimes you can't beat a slice of New York City Joe's pizza, am I right? For accommodation, this is definitely prime Airbnb territory, but there's plenty of modern new hotels as well. Best part is they're all super close to each other. There's the Hoxton, which is kind of your standard modern smaller rooms, but I actually hang out here in the lobby a lot. They do food, coffee, you can chill with your laptop. If you need somewhere to burn some time, this is a nice cozy spot to do it. And across the street there's the Williamsburg Hotel, which I've stayed at. Very similar vein, modern, probably on the smaller side. There's also the Wythe Hotel, which has a nice little cafe inside called the Reynard. You know, pretentious brunch vibes, but definitely a nice place to work for me from time to time. And if you're feeling real bougie, go stay at the Williamville and take me with you. Also, for those looking for workout recommendations, Williamsburg has it all: yoga, SoulCycle, all the basic bish stuff, but my current favorite is overthrow boxing. Williamsburg is one of the funnest places to vintage shop. I definitely have my favorites on Bedford Avenue. One of my favorite places to window shop is Amarcord Vintage. It's actually still like affordable. It's not crazy expensive, but it is super curated, very tidy. The owner is really friendly. He also has a private, like appointment only showroom for super high-end vintage. But you know, if you can't afford Chanel right now, head over to the mini mall. There's also a string of vintage shops here, one of which is my favorite, Woke Vintage. I always seem to find something here. Again, a little bit pricey for vintage and dead stock, but I don't know, cute stuff. And we don't all have forever to find the perfect pair of vintage Levi's. They'll do it for you. They have a really good selection of stuff here, but you're gonna find vintage on every street corner in Williamsburg. It'll just pop up randomly. If you're interested in antiques though, check out Mother of Junk. Even if you just like browsing stuff, it's a really interesting place. If you are a vintage enthusiast though, hop on the L train for a couple of minutes to the Morgan stop. It's a really artsy neighborhood, very industrial and gritty, lots of Brooklyn loft vibes here. This place you really cannot judge by its cover because there are so many hidden gems in the nooks and crannies that you just really would not expect. So you have to keep your eyes peeled in this place. A derelict building could be a hip coffee shop inside, you know? So there's a string of vintage shops, kind of a cluster of them in this area that I would recommend at least checking out. And the further you go out of Williamsburg, it's kind of the better value you're going to get. So Beacon's Closet is definitely a fan favorite. On the pricier side again, because you know it's color coordinated and organized, but you know I found like really nice designer stuff kind of affordably here, so it's worth a look for sure. You never know what you're gonna find. I also like Dobbin Street Outpost for a bit of interiors, vintage inspo, and they also have some clothing, but the Motherlode truly is urban jungle. Oh my god, this place kind of low-key gives me anxiety, but it's a kind of a mix between a vintage store and a thrift shop. Like, it's definitely better priced than the other places that I recommended. I don't tend to find a lot here because I feel like the good pieces are always picked clean by the vintage stores, but I find a gem every now and again. Try and end your day here because I'd really recommend popping over to Roberta's. It's a restaurant, but in the summer, it's a really good time to check out their beer garden. They have a takeaway section where you can order takeaway, bring it into the beer garden, get some drinks outside. I always come here with friends, and it just is a really nice, chill vibe and a super nice way to end the day in this part of Brooklyn. There's lots of modern boutiques as well, but I actually want to cover that in a separate video, so be sure to subscribe to see my favorite places to shop in New York. But I did want to mention this store because it's a bit more unique. It's called A-Land, and it's almost like a Korean concept store. There's like Korean skincare brands and beauty brands, but lots of unisex clothing as well. There's actually 2 movie theaters in Williamsburg, but the standout is Nighthawk Theatre for sure. Film buffs will love Nighthawk. It's a slightly smaller theatre. It only ever shows about 3 films at a time, and they're usually kind of more on the alternative spectrum. Also have a bar inside, and you can get food during your movie, and the food is actually really, really good. It's a movie theatre mixed with a cocktail bar, mixed with a restaurant, all wrapped up into one. I mean, for date night, doesn't get more convenient than that. If you fancy going out for a drink, there is definitely no shortage of like casual bars and dive bars in the area. But for me personally, I love a good cocktail bar, especially one with a bit more of a speakeasy vibe. So these are a couple of my favorites. There's this really charming one called Maison Premiere on Bedford. It has a nice patio out in the back. Also, a speakeasy kind of vibe I really like is Hotel Del Mano. It's so like sexy and romantic and candlelit. It almost has like a Cuban vibe to it, which I really like, and the cocktails are killer here. And lastly, this little tiny cocktail bar called Lucy Rouge. It's very intimate and cozy, but it's a great place to go for a date or catch up with friends. There you have it. Those are my favorite places to hang out, eat and shop in Williamsburg. I hope it gave you a good insight into where I like to hang out, but don't forget I do weekly vlogs, so if you want to kind of see places as I discover them and get a feel for New York City life, then be sure to subscribe. Of course, if you have any other Williamsburg gems that I either didn't mention, don't know about, or you just want to share it, leave it in the comments below. Let everyone else see it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon.